Hey rock stars, this is your host Alana G. Welcome to the Uncapped Potential podcast. If you are a ready rebel, an entrepreneur, then this podcast is for you. It is time to tap into your uncapped potential. All right, hello you sexy rock stars taking this entrepreneur journey. Celebrating you. This is Alana G, the Uncapped Potential, bringing you some juiciness today. I am going to share the sexiness of marrying the art of masculine and feminine energy, or let's say logic and spirituality, doing or being and being, because we want to marry it up. So the lesson that I want to share with you guys today is that there is an art of utilizing both logic and spirituality, doing and being, feminine and masculine. The feminine energy is this divine energy. It's the attraction magnet. It is the most sexiest, juiciest energy that you can think of because it allows your reality to come to you. It's soft, it's subtle, it's done in behind the door, the closed doors. It's not done out there. It's done inside here. It's a deep level of trust. The masculine is the doing. It's the action taker. It's the going after. It's hunting it down and being like, I'm making this happen and I'm having my way with it. And so obviously both of those sound pretty attractive, right? The thing that that can happen in business, and it's happened for me, is that we can fall into too much of one or the other and end up burning ourselves out or ending up in a circle, going around in circles, not actually getting anywhere. And the way that I explain this with my community, with my tribe, is that if you're constantly healing, doing all the things that aren't really actually taking action, you're actually just going to go around in circles. And if you're just doing, hustling, going after, seeking it out, constantly do, you can just imagine you're going to be going around in circles in one way. But if you can take one step with your healing, your trust, your magnetism, and one step with your doing and your action taking, then you can see your journey is going to rapidly start to grow forward more. So this was something that I had to learn about myself. Now, first off, I was in masculine mode. I am a female. I wasn't honoring my female, wasn't honoring the actual divine essence of my own natural being, which is the feminine, and wasn't actually utilizing this attraction, calling in version of energy that was within me. What I was doing in business was I was going after it. I was in the hustle mode, the grind mode, the do mode, and I was thinking that that was what was going to get me a result. But in the end, what it did was burn me out and put me into a state of never really wanting to do business ever again. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed. I was crying all the time. I was out of alignment with my energy. And then I met attraction marketing. And what that taught me was how to actually be in my trust and be in my magnetism, and taught me to really start to bring the reality to me through just that divine feminine attraction mode. And I did do that for a period of time until I fell so much into my flow, started to amplify my feminine frequency and really go into the place of like divine trust and attraction and flow state. What happened was I decided to get very, very flow state that I pretty much did not actually have any sort of accountability to what I was doing in my business either. So I really started to allow my flow state to actually become I would call it a leaf. I became a bit of a leaf with reality. I allowed the reality to shift me and move me and flow me in different directions without actually having any of my own control on where that was taking me. And learning the divine feminine is so juicy. I'll always say that is one of the most magnetizing energy forms that you can be in. And yet we need to heal everything within us. So going on the journey of consciousness and being in business and being in entrepreneurism and healing and getting to abundance, the frequency above peace, is creating peace. And that is a holistic look. Holistic is like a circle. It's all forms, it's all parts. You need to make peace with both the feminine and the masculine, or the logic and the spirituality, whatever you want to give it a name to be. There is two parts of the journey that you get to be a part of and really work with, and that's going to propel you forward. So when I realized that I was in this incredible feminine flow state and not actually moving forward anymore because I had forgotten about actually being intentional with my doing, I discovered that I had abandoned my masculine, and I had abandoned the parts of me that actually got me to crack through the limitations. So the doing was like, it can be as simple and easy as doing a post. And I see a lot of people in my business, when we're content creators, wanting to create content, but then they're in their, they're overthinking their post. But that just pressing the button alone, like the doing bit, but doing it from a place where they're trusting, like with the divine feminine, that post is going to be attractive as motherfuck to anyone that reads it. So then, of course, when they hit the do, so they've married the two up, it's going to work. It's just going to work because they've made peace with it, and then they take another step in their journey towards more of what they want, and their business starts to flourish more. When you're marrying up the masculine and the feminine, it could actually just mean like marrying up the logic and the spirituality. And I want to talk to that all visionaries, anyone that's created a business, definitely had a moment in their business where they envisioned it first, right? They sat with this big idea concept of what they were going to create. That is the spirituality. That is like closing down your eyes, vision casting what you are here to do, what you want to create, like seeing it and being with the vision before it's actually in the now. And then the logic is like the steps that you're going to utilize in the 3D, the now, in this reality that you're in, this world, this human form of what are the steps that are going to get you there, and taking action each moment to say yes to that. Something that I love to do with my clients and the people that I work with in my space and my community, especially when they're getting too much in that masculine mode, because I think that's probably one of the easiest go-tos in business, is that people go to doing a lot and thinking that doing a lot is actually going to get them somewhere. And it actually just is going to burn you out and also get you in your head into that logic mindset where all of a sudden you can't see what, it has to be so logic. It has to be so step by step. But we know that we are uncapped potentiality, and that this world around us shape shifts by our thoughts and our words. So when we drop into just actually giving ourselves a breath, or sitting in a bathtub, putting on a candle, some nice music, what our energy shifts, and we can actually start to see better what solutions we need to take. So that means when you do end up wanting to take your next action, it's more in alignment to the vision versus like this have to do mode and this get done mode. And then you get lost in this logic kind of reality where it's also black and white, when life isn't black and white. It's really colorful, and the feminine really embodies that colorful, playful divineness, and it comes from taking time to actually be really mindful that you can play in that game and play in that energy. And men can play in that too. Like I see a lot of men actually these days maybe playing it too much. Like it's like this polarity, and we get to both play in both. And some women are playing too much in the masculine, and this is why we're getting a lot of imbalance with the way that people are in their joy state. There's less joy because people are not really finding the balance in each of those. They're falling too far into one or the other, and it's just if you don't consciously choose what you're going to be doing, you will end up having the opposite of that in some form play out, and it could be unintentional stuff that happens, and you want it to be something that you choose for yourself. You want it to be from a more intentional space. So going into the journey of learning this, when I first started my online business, I was in the masculine. I mentioned that. I was hustle mode and do mode, and then I went into the feminine and started creating, so much trust and abundance and flow until it became so flow that I ended up wayward pretty much. Yeah, I was very wayward for a while there, off grid, doing all these crazy things, people's overstepping my boundaries, all sorts of things, because I wasn't really taking action on my masculine part of me, where I'd hold myself and look after myself. And what I learned last year in November, right before November, because November's been my biggest month in business. I've made multiple 5 figures in 1 month. It was really fun. But yeah, so what it took for me to get there was I had to make peace with doing. I had to make peace with the fact that doing actually is part of business. And I just needed to watch myself, because what happens is you get into action, or what I did was I get into action, and you can get caught up in action again, because you'd like, oh, fuck, the doing's creating the reality. But really the being's creating the reality. The being allows you to do the things that you actually need to do, and then you have it. So yeah, I got to this point where I start doing it a lot again. And of course, if you're imbalanced, you create imbalances in your own physical form and your own mindset and the way that, your mental health. And so every day is a day, like, you've got to be mindful of that. Regularly, what I do to help me with this, and I encourage this with all my entrepreneurs, is to really be mindful and put in your calendar time to nurture yourself, time for nourishment, time to be in that feminine, juicy energy. So you literally book yourself out through either every day, at least a little bit every day, but big times throughout the week, for you to go and be in hot tubs, or, in that juicy feminine massages, receiving mode, anything that you feel like you get to just relax and be with, and that's, that's a really great way to get you into that state, right? And get you into that feeling, that feminine energy, and all of a sudden you get creative. And entrepreneurs, we're creative. We need to be creative. So feminine is really important. So that having that space for ourselves so that we can be creative and come up with the ideas and the content that we need to come up with. In the masculine, it's like you can have 2 hours a day that you do the masculine. You don't need to do it all day. You don't need to take action all day. Taking action all day means you're probably not actually giving it focus when you do give it time. So if you just want to spend some time in building your business in shorter spurts, you can do that by limiting your doing time, especially for the feminine embodied in that. Something I also love to do when I find myself in the doing phase is I'll break my state. So I book myself a day off scuba diving or doing something super fun where I'm underwater, where I have to literally break out of the energy of that get shit done mode, and put myself into something where it's playful and it's fun, and then it breaks that attachment to the result. And that's, I think, the beauty of the masculine, but also kind of a part of the masculine which can be painful, is that it's so attached to an outcome. And when we detach from the outcome and be more in our flow state, other things can come possible, and it may take us a different route to going to where we were going. But if we're so attached to how it's meant to look and be, what we might do is hinder ourselves from an opportunity or a pathway or another way that we could have got there. And that would have been really magical. And that's the dance, the feminine kind of oh, what's that? That's cool. That's juicy. Let's go for that and see where that takes us. So why am I bringing this topic to the podcast today? It's because I've seen this actually work and amplify results in such a freaking huge way. We have done it within our own online community. We've really brought the leverage systems, the masculine, the holding stuff with attraction marketing and actually working in business to draw your people to you versus going out after them. So you've got systems, the masculine, the doing, the things that are going to hold you to go towards where you're going. And then you've got the feminine energies of attracting, calling in, the visualizations, the being, the healing and all that. And what I've seen that do in business is literally create the most rapid, fastest growing business I've ever been a part of. Like every one in the space is creating massive momentum together, embodying these two together, embodying this in business. So if you can bring this into your business, you are going to create a streamline forward because you're doing both. You're not leaving one or the other out. So you're going to create a vortex and a flow state that's heading you forward, not around in circles. My intention is that you have received from me some downloads, some understanding, some new information. And if you have, I'd love for you to like, share, and comment wherever you're seeing this. If you're on Spotify, give us a review, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Get into the comments, review us. If you want to hear me talk more on a specific topic, if there's something that, that you're like, oh, this brought this up for me, like I've got a question still that needs to be answered, can you give me more clarity on it? Please reach out, find me. There's lots of social media platforms that you can find me on. Get in touch and I will give you some resources. We'll have a conversation. There's a masterclass. I'll support you to get the understanding, the answer to that question or how I feel about that for you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next podcast. This is Alana G, the Uncapped Potential.